Hi, I'm Mark Taylor, and it's time for another episode of The Mark Taylor Show. This week's guest is Allan Gillmor from St. Stephen, who is an educator and a former mayor. Welcome to the show, Allan. How are you making out?
Well, thank you very much, Mark. I was flattered in a sense when you called. I didn't expect it at all.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, I'm glad that you come on. So are you from St. Stephen?
Yes, actually, I like to say I live in St. Stephen, but my home is Charlotte County.
Okay.
My father actually grew up on the Macadavic at Pomeroy Bridge.
Wow, a little ways up the river from me.
Believe it or not, that's right.
Okay.
And of course, I was born in St. Stephen at the Chipman Hospital.
Okay.
Lived there most of my life other than my university years, and I did teach in St. John a couple of years. And then I worked in St. Andrews in the summer, so
You've been everywhere, man.
That's right. That's right.
You're a math teacher.
Yes.
So I guess you must have some fond memories of teaching?
Well, as I started out in St. John at Simon's High School,
okay,
which in those days was on Bayside Drive.
Okay.
I just think of one class I had of 40 shop boys.
Wow.
And it was my first year of teaching.
Yep.
They gave me a hard time, I'll tell you. but we made it through. It was good. It was a good initiation.
But things back then were a little bit different than they are today. Actually, you could hook on to somebody if they back in those days.
Oh, definitely. These were big boys. In fact, they worked at the dry dock at night and went to school in the daytime. Oh. So I really didn't tackle them.
No, I bet you didn't.
It was more a matter of convincing and so on.
What was the time frame of this have been when you're...
That was 67 through 69.
Okay.
And then in 69 I came to St. Stephen.
Okay.
St. Stephen Middle School.
Okay.
Was there for 10 years. And then I went on to St. Stephen High School in 1980 when the new high school
yep.
opened, which what's 35 years old now.
Yeah,
it's still the new high school.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you obviously you must have liked it. You wouldn't have stuck with it.
Definitely. I always say the first 30 years were great. Last 2 years were a little more difficult.
Yeah.
I have a few thoughts on that, and I think we were allowed to teach originally. Now the school does everything.
Right.
From breakfast to lunch to hearing tests and so on. And that was all taken care of outside of the school situation.
Right.
By the community, whether it was service clubs or social services and so on. And I think it allowed the school to be a better educator, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I know things have changed, and that's the way it is.
I mean, the access the kids have now to phones and things like that, and I'm sure that probably would have just come in.
Well, actually, it wasn't even. It's been 15 years since I retired. It wasn't even a problem then.
Okay.
I can remember when calculators came in.
Yeah, that was a big thing.
Well, that's right. And I remember the issue one time during departmentals or matriculations.
Right.
You were allowing kids to use calculators, and then all of a sudden the department said they couldn't use them on provincials, which was kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that's the lack of, or slowness, I guess, in the growth of the system.
Right.
Because, everybody depends on calculators.
Oh, for sure.
I do too.
Yeah, yeah. Now, unless you're a wizard, to long multiplication, long division, stuff like that, I could probably do it, but I would rather not do it.
Right. I've got another example. I worked at the Algonquin in the summer.
Okay.
And I started out with the night audit. And I worked with a fellow from Hong Kong. And we had these transcript pages, which were 45 rows, and I don't know, 20 columns or whatever.
Right.
He could actually add those 45 rows
in his head?
In his head.
Oh.
It was amazing. So it was a different education system.
Yeah, I dare say.
In fact, he was a student from McGill. Was in the faculty of medicine and so on.
So I guess throughout your years of teaching, there was many rewards. You've already hit on some challenges that you've had.
Yeah, I'm sure there is, and I meet people that I taught, and then as I said, I taught in St. John,
right.
And I go to St. John once in a while, and somebody will say, "Hello, Mr. Gillmor," and I don't really know who they are. But then when they say who they are, I kind of fit them into, who they were and so on. And then when I, even in St. Stephen, I see these so-called kids that are now retiring, kind of age as me too.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess there was a big sense of accomplishment and some pride that you hear of your students doing well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I remember you remember some classes of others. And just to be fair, but I remember one class who did extremely well on departmentals and so on, and it just makes you feel so good.
Yeah. Because obviously math you're either good at it or you're not. I struggle with it, and I know I never really was I'd say good at math, but I can hold my own. But certainly it's something that you've got to have a knack for, I think.
I think so, and but everybody has some sort of a talent. And I don't know whether it's math or whether it's dramatics, whether it's literature and so on, or hands-on. And there was a time in the education system when we were just doing away with shops and so on, which was a bad move.
Oh, I think so.
You know, the computer was going to do it all, and you know, it doesn't do it all. It doesn't build a house.
No. And
hammer and nail or whatever.
I think there's some, if I could hit on some drawbacks that I feel about the education system, is that sometimes they don't prepare the kids for the real world.
Exactly. That's right.
I mean, you can go there and I can go to school for 12 years or whatever, and I get my diploma, and as you say, if I decide, I may be, I could go and be a lawyer or something like that, but I'm not going to be. But if I want to go and build a house, I'm probably not going to be set up for it.
Whereas at one time, with industrial classes and so on, kids could go through that system and be fairly competent when they graduated.
Exactly.
And I think we're moving back to that.
Yeah.
Although the financial end of it's a constraint as well, because technology is so expensive to deal with and so on.
What prompted you to retire when you got if it was just that time, I guess?
Well, it was. I could have gone 35. I taught 32 years. As I said, the first 30 were great. The last 2 were difficult.
You were getting to be,
That's right.
You're starting to get itchy feet.
That's right. And I think it's fair to the kids too. When when you get to that age, you can't deal with everything the way you always could.
And as we hit on, you can't necessarily hook onto somebody and say, "Listen, buddy, you keep your mouth shut." We're trying. If you did that, you would retire a lot quicker than you thought you were.
Oh, exactly. And I know, if I couldn't go back in the classroom today at all with the technology, the smart boards and all that. Where my girls, that's their thing.
Well, it's the norm now.
That's right. That's right.
While you were teaching. Is it the same time you were teaching? Did you get involved in politics at the same time?
Yes.
So you ran two jobs?
Well, I guess they were when you look back at that. And yes, I first ran for council in 1980.
Okay.
And served on the council for 2 terms. The terms were 3 years then. They've been changed to 4.
Who was the mayor?
Mayor was Doug Hanson.
Okay, yes. Yep.
And Doug's still around. He's actually back in St. Stephen after having moved to St. John and so on. And then I ran for mayor and was defeated.
Okay, which is not a good thing.
Well, no, but it probably, in hindsight, it was probably the best situation because there were town manager issues and so on, which I didn't have to deal with.
No, that's right.
Exactly.
So basically when you came, there was a clean slate.
That's right. So I ran for mayor again in 89 and was elected in 89 and served 4 terms. The terms were 3 years at that point.
12 years.
12 years.
Pretty good on the math, see that?
Oh, yeah, that's right. And I often think about that. The community gave me a chance to do things over a 12-year period where in 3 years or 6 years you can't do an awful lot. You just kind of react.
Yep.
And I think we were proactive during that time.
And I guess while I had John Craig on here.
Right.
John was the mayor in St. Andrews. You probably know John.
Yes, I do.
And John related some stories to me that at the time was that, you're a mayor, you're kind of, it's the councilors that really do a lot of the legwork and everything that gets done. You attend, different meetings and stuff like that, but really the councilors are doing, as you're a councilor, so you know that.
That's right. Well, you're the leader, though.
Yes.
And you've got to take them through it, even though you don't have a vote.
No.
And I'm going to go back to the first council of which I was mayor. It polarized. It was split right down the middle. One would always go one way, one would always go the other way. So the mayor had all the power in the world.
Oh yeah, because you always had to decide.
That's right. But after that, we sort of developed a consensus. And one of the things which I'm very proud of is actually council and staff would get together annually, put a day aside, have a retreat or whatever, and deal with issues and kind of come to a consensus before they came to the table.
Okay.
So there wasn't
That's a great idea.
all that bickering,
Right.
And I guess you call that a retreat in today's term and so on. And it worked very well because it developed consensus rather than, your side, my side.
Well, you got some people with strong personalities.
Exactly.
You're not going to get anything done.
That's right. And there's nothing wrong with that. We can disagree. There's no question about that. But that way you develop a common plan.
Right.
And you can work on that plan and so on. So.
Was there somebody that you admired, or you tried to emulate maybe their leadership qualities, or somebody that as a kid you saw somebody, or it doesn't necessarily have to be a politician or anything, but
I can't really think of anybody in particular.
But obviously you served under, you're as a counselor or something. You probably thought, and then you get to sit back and you go, I don't know if I do that, but if I had the chance, I'd do this. So I mean, you kind of build up a little bit of some ideas.
And I think you go in with some preconceived ideas which change very quickly when you're sitting at the table.
Right.
Because you know both sides of the story.
Yep.
And when you're sitting outside, you don't know both sides of the story.
No, that's right.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I hope people liked and so on was to involve the community in some of the decisions we made.
Yep.
We didn't, the BIA was very much a part of it, Development St. Stephen, the Chamber of Commerce, and we often had meetings where we brought together the citizens, whether we were developing the waterfront or celebrating St. Stephen's 125th birthday, and so on.
That happened under your,
yes, it did. I don't
call your reign, but under your regime or tenure. Tenure, maybe,
exactly,
that's the word we'll use.
Yeah, and I think it was a matter of developing pride in the community.
Okay.
And I know when I first became mayor, we established, I guess it was an economic development committee. And we identified 3 things. And one was downtown development, another was industrial park development, and the third thing was pride. And pride was probably the most important of any of those.
Yep.
And we were part of Communities in Bloom, and the service clubs took over care of parks and involved all kinds of people.
So you'd stop the graffiti and things like that,
That's
which can, it just looks bad on the town. When you got stuff like that going on, or people setting fire to things or tearing pots of plants down and stuff like that.
And you know something on that too. If a pot is destroyed, that happens.
Yep.
Fix it.
Yep.
Don't leave it hanging there, because that will just create more hassle.
Exactly.
And so on.
Yep.
Get there and fix it or whatever. And another thing on this beautification thing, I remember one time we hired a student under a government program to just go around and identify signs that were broken and laying sideways and this sort of thing,
Simple stuff,
Simple stuff, but they're all part of your community and what you perceive your community to be, and it's all about pride.
So when you became the mayor, obviously there's some challenges and some rewards with that job as well, and you're out in the town, you're going out with your family, or you're just out by yourself, you're going to get a cup of coffee or somewhere. Do people come up and say, hey, Alan, I got something I want fixed, or do you run into that a lot?
Oh, definitely. And I remember a Whidden Gadong story, because Whidden had been the mayor years ago and so on. And he kept telling this story about somebody had contacted him about this tree branch over the sidewalk. People were running into it and so on, and he forgot all about it. But anyway, he saw this person 2 weeks later, and they thanked him for removing the tree branch, which he had nothing to do at all. He said, "Oh, that's great. I'm glad that got done."
Yeah, so,
That's right.
I gotta say, when you're a public figure, everybody they see you in the paper, or they see you wherever, and they think, okay, and if they're not shy, they'll come up. Did you get anybody that was ill-tempered, or did you run into that once in a while?
Oh yes, certain individuals. I won't name them.
No.
But certainly there were people that were always on your case. There's no question about it.
You can't make everybody happy.
No, that's right.
And when you go in there, you know that.
Exactly. That's right. You do what you feel is best.
Yep. So you mentioned the Chamber of Commerce. Now you're a lifetime honorary member, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I read up a little bit. I did a little bit of research.
Well,
and I believe you were basically, one of the things they said was your education. You're in favor. That's one of your big things, was education. Obviously, you're a teacher. Right. Community service and civic responsibility are big things for Allan Gillmor, exactly. I guess. So I mean that says a lot there.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate that. I mean, again, you wonder how to deal with honors and so on, but you feel good about that.
Yep, for sure.
That's right.
Basically, what is the Chamber of Commerce role, and what do they do? I mean, it's all the businesses in a town or city, right?
Well, it can be anything from having lunch and getting together, the group together, and discussions and so on, to actually planning some programs and so on. And they've been very instrumental working with the BIA in downtown development, or with Development St. Stephen in the industrial park and so on. And those people have the contacts.
Okay.
Now, I was actually president of the chamber at one point in time, although I'm not from the business milieu.
No.
But nevertheless, I guess being part of the town, you become kind of part of that whole program.
I don't know if it would be a thing in St. Stephen, but I would think in bigger centers, you'd have people that would be in the Chamber of Commerce. Would they not be competitors?
Oh, definitely. Because, I mean, there's nothing wrong with competition.
No. But I mean, you get in there, if you're sitting in a meeting, you're going, oh, that guy over there, I don't like the way he does business, or she does business or something like that.
And you look at some of that. There's no question about that. But generally, people are level-headed and want the community to progress and so on.
Well, as long as they got a common goal, that's the big thing.
That's right.
You're also the St. Croix the St. Croix Legacy Project, right? I mean, you were involved with that.
Right. Well,
or are you still?
No. In 2004, of course, we
Right.
celebrated the 400th anniversary of Champlain and de Mont landing or establishing a settlement on St. Croix Island.
The first French settlement in North America.
Exactly. First permanent French settlement.
Yeah, exactly.
They had actually been...
I think they in Louisville, did they? Or
No, actually, the Spanish were in Florida, but Tabasantac and... not Tabasantac. I don't know.
You're a math teacher.
It's a community in Quebec where
Yep.
they actually came and fished and so on.
Right.
But they had no intention of staying there forever.
okay, but
So St. Croix Island was intended to be...
it wasn't a very hospitable place for them the first year.
No.
From what I can recall from my history lessons.
I think it must be a winter like we've had this winter.
I think so.
Yeah, because I mean, we don't have those kind of winters when the river freezes at
No, that's for sure.
And of course, one of the worst things they did was they cut all the lumber on it, so the wind blew right through there.
Yep.
And they didn't know how to deal with that.
No.
They came from a warmer climate and so on.
Yep.
But anyway, in 2004, we had a big celebration, and
Right.
I actually had the Prime Minister of the day here. It was
Okay.
Paul Martin, or
Right.
Paul Martin.
Yeah, exactly.
We're here at that day. Couldn't have rained any harder at Bayside, but there were 3,000 people sitting up there.
Oh, wow.
And then the next day was Sunday, and the sun came out, and it was a beautiful day, and we had the New Brunswick Youth Orchestra there, and some other entertainment and so on. There were 10,000 people up there in the
Holy
field at
smokes.
Bayside. Yeah. So, but it took us 7 years, to plan that.
Yeah, I'll bet you did.
Because there were events happening in St. Andrews, in Calais, and in St. Stephen during a whole week period.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Speaking of the legacy, though, it had been our hope to establish a permanent exhibit there.
Right.
And we had permission to do so, but the province pulled the mat out from under us because they owned the land and said we couldn't use it.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think they still own the land.
Right.
Yeah.
What are they going to plan to do with it?
I have no idea. Well, actually, with this austerity, they'll probably sell it for cottage lots.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe a campground.
There you go.
Something like that. You were also involved with the Ganong Nature Park.
Exactly.
Yeah, and other things. Let's talk about that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well, yes, I have been the chair. I'm no longer the chair.
You're not a one-trick pony.
Oh no,
You're into everything.
I try. Yeah, I have that actually. I was chair for the Ganong Nature Park
Right.
for the last 5 or 6 years. I'm no longer chair as of the last AGM. But anyway, we've got a beautiful spot down there. I hope you've been down
Yeah,
there.
I have.
And we've got 350 acres.
Which came from the Ganong family? Is that how?
Well, when Whitman Ganong died, in his will, he left a proviso that the site, which is 350 acres, could be purchased by the community if the community raised the money.
Okay.
But the price on the property was much less than the assessed value.
Okay.
In fact, I think the assessed
So you got
value,
to buy.
I think the assessed value was like $1.5 million.
Okay.
We got it for about 600,000. So.
Wow.
But anyway, so there was a fundraising campaign, and
Right.
they did go out and they raised the money.
Okay.
And as a result of that, and as a result of an ECOA project later, a building was built, a learning center was built, the college was rehabilitated,
Yep.
the trails were developed, and so on. And right now, I don't know whether you've noticed or not, this winter we've had sleigh rides.
Sleigh rides. I'm going to say perfect weather for that.
Which have been very successful. So
Yep.
not that we make any money on that.
But
nevertheless, it gets people there.
Yeah, which is what you want.
Exactly.
You want really.
Yeah. But actually, we're going through a strategic planning process right now. We have a lot of weddings,
Okay.
and we hope to build some sort of pavilion so people don't have to rent a tent and bring it in and
Okay.
so on. And we also will enhance the trails.
Right.
And we were part of St. Croix Estuary Project, which is a scientific organization looking at the environmental health of the St. Croix.
Right. Okay.
We want to carry that ideal on, but focus it on the park, and it may be some sort of a fishery development or what have you.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's in the process at this
Okay.
point in time.
And there was other things that you were involved with, was there not?
Well, yeah, and actually just at the park, of course, the Charlotte County Fall Fair is a big event.
Yeah.
We have over 5,000 people, both participants and clients, I guess, going
Yep.
through the gate and so on. So
you're basically not sitting with your feet up
oh
anymore.
no, but I'm not as busy as I used to be,
No,
which
no.
is fine. You get older and you get a little arthritic and so on.
Well, when you were in Esmer, obviously there had to be growth because you got to keep moving forward. If
Well,
you're
exactly.
not, you can't be sitting still.
Yeah,
What were
well,
some of the things that happened under your watch?
Well, I think one of the main things, which was part of my goal when I went in, was dealing with financial issues.
Right.
The town had a big debt.
Yep.
And that was back from the 80s or early 80s when the interest rate was like 16, 18%.
Exactly.
So my big goal, which council adopted, was to reduce that debt. And by 2000, we actually had the debt down to almost nothing.
Wow.
Yeah. And as a result of that, we were able to put anywhere from $200,000 to $400,000 of non-borrowed money, just money in the budget,
right,
into infrastructure such as water and sewers, streets and sidewalks and so on. So I think that was the legacy, and I would like to see that continue.
Yep.
It's part of your ordinary operating budget. Put in those capital expenditures rather than borrowing the money.
And another thing is, which if you're a taxpayer, and you are a taxpayer, you don't get the burden of it. If somebody's, basically watching the purse strings, it doesn't get passed down onto the backs of the taxpayers.
Well, that's right. And I mean, interest rates right now are not bad, but they were pretty steep at that time. Yes. Yeah.
I guess, when did you know that you had enough of politics?
Well, I thought as the new millennium was coming in 2000, 2001. I decided probably the people had had enough of me.
Okay, and you didn't want to, you didn't
No, I thought it was time to, no, I didn't.
Okay.
I thought it was time to leave. Now, I did go back, as you may know, in 2007.
Right.
The mayor of the day, Bob Brown, had to resign because he had a conflict because he's the returning officer.
Okay.
And there was a conflict there. So I did go back for a year, and I said I would run for the terms changed to 4, but they didn't elect me the next time.
Okay.
Which is fine.
Yep.
Which is fine. And I had other problems at that point in time as well. My wife was ill and so on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess when you get all these things on the side that you were doing,
right,
and you were still teaching at the same time.
That's right.
And going, how did you organize that? Because I'm going to say it would be some of the meetings and stuff that as a mayor would be. It would be taxing on your time.
No question about that. And I remember establishing my own personal policy that anybody who wanted to talk to me was not to call the school and was not to drop into the school, because that started. And you can't teach and do that.
Oh, God, no.
And I simply told the secretary at the school, they can get a hold of me after 4 o'clock at the town hall.
Right.
And that people accepted that.
Okay.
Yeah. Although there is one thing, as I said, I was defeated in 1986, and I sat down at the supper table, and one of my kids said to me, "What are you doing here?" And of course, the reason being that I was always out to a meeting. And those meetings were always at supper time.
Wow. Yeah, I bet they were.
Yeah, so no, you have to take that into consideration.
Exactly.
Because we had a family of 7 kids. So.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
When you're having those meetings and things like that, you have the town meetings, did they open that up to the public?
Some of them are.
How could it, for instance, how could the taxpayers, if they had an axe to grind or a question to bring up, was there a forum for that?
Usually they would funnel that through a counselor or the mayor. Or through the best way would be to put it through staff, to be honest with you. Because council should be the policy maker. Council shouldn't be the doer.
No.
And if there's an issue that staff can't deal with, then that becomes a policy issue.
Right.
But other than that, all the mechanisms should be in place to deal with those problems and so on. So I've always been careful of that, to establish that divide between policy and actually doing and so on.
And you got to be fair, too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But you're always there. And as I say, one of the things which I'm very proud of is involving people in the planning process for different.
So we had people, everybody, I think John, the way he described it was everybody on the council was responsible for recreation or public works or whatever. They was kind of their forte.
Yeah, that's right. They had a portfolio.
Portfolio,
exactly.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, whether it was police or whether it was water, sewer, streets or whatever. Yeah. And I think that continues pretty much today and so on.
Was the town police still in?
They were.
When you were as mayor?
Yes, they were. Although that was getting towards the end of policing.
Right.
We were in
Everybody's pretty well gone to the RCMP now.
Well, we were in the process of talking to the RCMP when I left. And again, it's a matter of economics. Police cars and equipment and so on are so expensive.
Yep.
And I know
And then there's obviously the pay and the benefits that you have, because they're employees then.
Oh, definitely.
Whereas if you have the RCMP, you cut them a check.
You pay X number of dollars per person,
what you get.
and that takes care of equipment and everything.
Right.
And special services and so on, which the town could not provide, had to be bought from other organizations and so on. So it was people didn't like that. They thought, and I understand that too. Thank goodness some of the old police officers went on to become RCMP officers.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, time is our enemy here, Alan, but I had a couple questions for you. Do you have advice for people in the community? Should they seek out community involvement? How can you do that? Or do you advise that, I guess?
Oh, definitely, because that's how a community runs. And I think there's a certain satisfaction in seeing the community becoming an even better place. I always think I live in a great community, but you can always make it better.
For sure.
And I think any organization has that as a goal. Be part of that.
Or go off, throw your name in the hat and run for office.
Exactly.
If you're so inclined.
Exactly.
You think you can do a better job, then go for it.
That's a big commitment, but yes, you've got to do that. How else would we run?
No, that's right.
That's right. The remuneration isn't great. So.
No, I'm sure. Well, it's basically just a...
Yeah, it's a stipend.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I guess it's a little bit of gravy when you're, just something on the side. But and I'm sure you weighed it out whether or not, in the end, whether it was worth the headaches. But I'm sure it must have been, or you would have done it over and over.
I know my wife always said it costs you more to be married than you make, which probably is the case.
Well, there.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for taking some time, Alan, and coming in and talk about your life as a teacher and a politician. It's been fascinating, and I really appreciate it.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. As I said, I'm flattered.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of The Mark Taylor Show, and my guest has been Allan Gillmor. Please join me again next time. Thank you.